Welcome your faces back to episode number 53 of the series Profit or Loss. I take faulty electronic items from eBay, attempt to fix them and sell them back on eBay for a profit. Today, I seek redemption. Sally's spectacular spreadsheet is looking very, very good as of recent times, with a nice healthy total profit of £79.53. You're probably thinking, Jay, what are you talking about redemption? How can you need redemption at this point? Let's take a look at today's item. A couple of weeks ago, I tried to fix an Xbox Series X and I was unsuccessful. Today, that changes. Big up to Cash Converters for selling me this item on eBay. I paid a whopping £180 for this faulty Xbox Series X. Do you know what the best part about it is? It's not been opened. The fault supposedly is that it's just got a bad HDMI port, which as you can see there is a little bit mashed up. And if I can fix this, it will be a nice little profit. Not everything on eBay is as swimming as it seems though. We may encounter a bit of an issue. I'm hoping that isn't the case, but let's turn it on, test it and just make sure that it powers up. Here we go. Yep, all plugged in and we have power to the console. Lovely jubbly. There would be nothing worse for me than finding out that this had no power. In which case, now we've tested that, let's get it down to the motherboard and see if we can get this HDMI port replaced. The way we're actually going to start this off is I'm going to heat here the label, and this is how we can get this off nice and clean without damaging the label. That's the plan anyway, because there's a hidden screw under here and a screw down here. Lovely jubbly. All right, finally we have the board out of the actual chassis. It takes forever because of the fact the Xbox Series X's are so chunky and big, but the form factor of them I absolutely love. So I'm just cleaning up the thermal paste here, just off of the APU. I'll make sure to clear out all these little bits in between the caps as well, but you don't need to see all of that right now. Let's inspect this port under the scope. This being the HDMI port, we don't have any torn traces or torn pads, anything like that, so this is what we need to replace. Looking inside the port here is a slightly different story. That is mashed. To get this port off the board, I know it's going to be pretty tricky. Trust me when I say these consoles take a lot of heat. Ground planes on the Series X's are so big. So we're going 480 degrees Celsius with an airflow speed of 99%. And I'm just sinking some hot air into the rest of the board at the moment because we need to get it all nice and hot. I believe that's the factory flux starting to bubble. You see that? We're going to let gravity do its thing, moving that heat around. The solder's wet in the holes. We also have glue here, which stops the port from falling off nice and easily, which is annoying. We have to move it off my desk. That was a little bit of a tough one, and when I say a little bit, it was a tough one, a massively tough one. It took me ages to actually get the port to fall out of the console. In the end, I had to add leaded solder just to be able to get that clean pull. Now what I'm going to do whilst the board is hot, I've taken off the bit of glue here. That's what used to be there. I'm going to add some flux. We've got anchors here as well that we need to be careful of. I used to use a preheater at Rocket when I worked at Rocket, and that was so much easier because you're applying heat from underneath and at the top. I'd never used to have to add leaded solder at that point. There we go. Beautiful. Now I'm just going to wick it away so we can solely rely on leaded solder on this port. It's going to make my life easier without that preheater. So we're just going to come in with our wick. Slowly wick up those pads. Flux has done a great job here. Quick cotton swab. Get rid of these as well. Wicked. And now we are going to load up everything with leaded solder. Fresh leaded solder. So again, we come in with our flux. This specific flux that I'm using is called Styri HTTF. There is an affiliate link down below taking you directly to that flux. If you use the code JDT at checkout, you get 10% off your order. Okay, coming in with the iron. Again, just gonna put so much solder in these holes. Dunk them. Again, I like to use the drop method exactly the same as I would on a PS5 on the Series X. Just works for me. I want this port to be as strong as possible. Better than factory, as Northridge would say. Just try and dunk some of that solder into the hole. And just go over here as well. And then finally, boop. Nice. You can see what type of a good job the flux does. And it's super easy to clean without any IPA as long as the board is warm. That's what I really, really like about it. It performs very well and it's easy to clean. There we go. I don't usually prep these ports, I just kind of put them on. But again, that was with using a preheater. So I am going to come in here and just tin them up a little bit just to ensure that we have good bonding. Go again with the flux, solder on the iron, and just tin. There we go. Nice. Okay. Begin the reflow. Same story here as usual. We are going to put some flux on the board in the areas that we need, which is pretty much everywhere at the moment. Over here, lovely. And of course, on the pads. 480 degrees Celsius with an airflow speed of 99%. Not going to require nowhere near as much as what it did previously, amount of time that it's going to get this solder to wet. However, still going to take a long time. There we go, solder's wet. Now I need to get these pads to wet. They're not completely wet just yet. The ground holes are, but most of those pads aren't. So I'm just keeping this heat on. That's much better. Now we're going to drop the port on. Quite literally drop it. And now we're going to have to keep the air on for quite a while, whilst we just ensure that the solder travels up the legs and, more importantly, on the pins on the board. I'm just trying to push the port flat down to the board now, because we've got a lot of heat, and you can see that the pads and the pins are bonding, which is exactly what we want. So I'm just going to keep the hot air on for a little bit longer. And I'm going to pull away in about 3, 2, 1. Heat off. I'm going to carry on holding, wait until I at least see some solder solidify. It should be any second now. This board is extremely hot, so it's going to take a while, but I think now is good. And now, whilst the board is hot, as always, a quick clean just to get that flux off. My job is far from over. I need to ensure that these pins are solid on the board. So if I grab a pokey tool, I'm just going to try and nudge these over and see if I get any movement whatsoever. If I do, not good enough. These are all very, very, very strong, which is really, really good. Let's look at it from this angle. Look at that. Perfect. The only one I'd say is questionable, which I'm sure we can all agree on, is this one. But I think it's the way that it is on the actual port itself, because if we hold it up, there is definitely solder being wrapped around it. And again, if I just give it a good nudge, it's definitely on there and not going anywhere. And look at the solder on the sides. You see that on the ground holes? It is hugging those legs. Great job. Now we do have a job to do on the back, because we're a little bit messy and those solder balls need sorting from an OCD standpoint. You could leave it like this, but it's just not very nice. And we've got quite a lot of flux in the area we need to clean up. So we switch over to Big Bertha. It's your time to shine, Big B. Just heating the area up. Make sure that port doesn't fall out, but just to be able to clean the flux that we have on the board before I go ahead and add more flux to the equation. Flux. Okay, adding flux. Big Bertha, come in and save the date. There we go. Cotton swab. Looking good. Get some of this old factory flux off of here. Presentation is not key in these scenarios. It just needs to work. This is purely preference from myself. For these Series X HDMI ports, I would suggest getting a preheater. It will make your life 10 times easier if you're planning on doing them. It's doable without it. Obviously, you've just seen me do it here, and there's plenty of other content creators that do it without one. But for me personally, it just seems to work wonders and really, really speed up the job. And there we go. That's how we're looking. All ready to test? Right, the Xbox has been plugged in. It is going to be time to test. Here we go. This is bare bones. I haven't fully reassembled yet, so I want to make sure it turns on and displays. 3, 2, 1. Would help if I plugged the power in, wouldn't it? All right, power plugged in. Let's go again. 3, 2, 1. Power's on. Okay, good. Stays on. That's what we want. Do we get anything on the screen? 3, 2, 1. There it is. Okay. Sweet. We get a picture. There we go. It looks like it's been reset as well. How? I never understand that. Now all I need to do is put it back together and give it its full range of tests. For example, the disk drive and the Wi-Fi, etc, etc. All right, I've tested everything. The disk is installing, so I know that the disk drive works as well. Wi-Fi seems to be all good. So I think I can confirm that we have fixed item number 1. Extremely risky to do the thing that I'm about to do, but it feels like this is the time to do it. Let's see what we've got. This next item is either going to catapult us into the stratosphere of profit or bring us down to the depths of hell where we actually make a loss on today's video, and I would hate for that to happen. This is a complete risk and gamble. I paid a total of £230 for this faulty PlayStation 5 disc edition. Definitely, I think, way too much. However, it does say on the listing it hasn't been opened for any repairs. And if I go onto the picture, I can see that a warranty seal is intact. And as you are more than aware, if an item has a warranty sticker, I will happily pay a little bit more for it. I still think $230 is a bit too much. It's a no power, but again, it's in pretty good condition. Ignore this little bit of plastic here that looks to be destroyed. Not many markings on the console. Let's now just confirm quickly that it definitely has no power. If we take our power lead, what happens? Nothing. So I'm pushing the button and we get no lights, no beep, nada. Okay, sweet. Definitely no power. Let's start tearing it down and see what's going on. I mean, the console's definitely had some dings. Look at that. When I say dings, I think somebody tried to take the casing off and ripped it, as well as the fact we got some marks on the old disk drive as well. The warranty sticker seal is definitely intact. Honestly, taking these apart when they haven't been opened before genuinely fills me with such confidence. I'm saying this now, I really hope I can fix this. I'm really hoping I can. All right, 74,000 screws later. It's a 020 board. Nice. Super clean, by the way. Pretty much everything on the inside and all the chassis and the heatsink, etc. down here, like everything is super clean. My usual method of diagnostic would be take the board out and see if I've got any shorts. However, we're going to do it a little bit differently today. I'm going to check for the voltage rails using my multimeter. Each technician is different in their own way, and sometimes you just kind of want to do things differently, and there's no problem with that. Right, so power in. We didn't get any beeps or anything, did we? So firstly, checking our 3.3 and our 5. So if we go here, oh, okay, straight off the bat, no. Yes, we don't have our 5 or our 3.3. Okay, interesting. None of them. Do we have our 12? I didn't even check my 12. What a moron. We don't have our 12. Is our power supply good? That is the main question, hey? Even though I heard a crackle, maybe we don't have a good power supply. In which case, this is going to be a nice little profit. A boring fix, but, you know, a nice little profit. Do we have 12 volts on the old PSU? No, we don't. We don't have 12 volts on the power supply. Oh, dear and yes at the same time. So I think this is just faulty power supply. Now, me personally, I don't like to mess with power supplies. I'm still not necessarily confident enough to do that yet. I know it's a case of discharging the caps, but something about it still kind of freaks me out. Let's just clear up the liquid metal on both the PCB and the chassis, because when we're swapping power supplies, we don't want any of that to be running anywhere. Group it all together like that. Do this one at the same time, because why not? Here we go. 2 balls of liquid metal. Suck this one up. Slurp. There we go. Lovely jubbly. Do my best Gordon Ramsay impression now. Flip the console over. Take off. Side panel. T8 screw. Here and here. Bosh, bosh. Console back over. Remove. Heatsink. Look at that. It's so clean. Take out power supply. Rinse and repeat process for donut. I'm just going to check and make sure that I have 12 volts here. All right. Do we have 12 volts on this power supply? Yes, we do. 12 volts. Lovely. Extract. Working power supply. Insert. Working power supply. Insert. Heatsink. Season with a bit of salt and pepper. Screw 1. Bosh. Screw 2. Bosh. Now I feel like it would be incredibly stupid of me to reassemble this fully without just testing to make sure the power supply is okay. I have put liquid metal on and I've put the clamp on. Maybe that was already a little bit too far, but let's just double check and make sure that we get a blue light and that it turns on. We got a cracker when we plugged it in and my camera's gone off. Is usually a good sign. 3, 2, 1. Oh, so now it's beeping, but it doesn't initiate, it doesn't turn on. So we also have a short on the board. That we call GG. Not as simple as I once thought. Okay, back over to the multimeter to check our rails. So we definitely have 12 volt now, right? Yeah, we have 12. Do we have 3.3 and 5? So we have 5. And we have 3.3. I know that we need to turn the console on here to get 2 volts, I believe. Ah, so we're not getting 2 volts, look. When I push the power button here. So do we have a short here? What do I get here? This is where the SSD controller is. Well, it links to the SSD controller. Nothing. Do I get voltage down here when I go to push it on? No. On the RAM? No. Okay. Let's take the power out. Meet it in continuity mode. Let's see if we can find a short. We don't have a short there. That's fine. 66 ohms. A little bit weird. Usually it's around about the 40 or so. 43 there. I'm sure that's not right. Oh, okay. It's changed its tune now. I'm just poking around. 136 there, which is weird. 136 ohms here isn't right. Okay, let's take the board out and check our fuses on the other side. We can also do UART here to see if that gives us the answer straight away. In which case, let's just do UART. I've got that all hooked up. All right, so this is the code that we get, which is 808100001, and it says HDMI IC problem, data line short circuit / power failure. So let's turn our attention to the HDMI IC. Okay, over to the scope. It does look a little bit discolored. I don't know if you can see. I don't know if there's a bulge in that chip. No, there isn't. But I think for sure there is some markings on it. HDMI port itself looks fine. Let's get our multimeter and just test around it. See if we have any shorts. Yeah, we do. Look. 1 ohm. 1 ohm. 2 ohms. 1 ohm. Wow. I am shocked. I would have found that eventually, but using UART makes that process so much quicker. Let's get the HDMI chip changed out. Let's take this one from our donor pile first. Give the board nice and warm temperature. I've gone 450 degrees Celsius with a massive nozzle and 99% airflow. I've got a feeling this one was actually replaced before by somebody else, but the chip itself is okay. This chip has a massive ground plane underneath as well, as far as I remember. Quite an awkward chip to grab, but there we go. This is the board we're currently working on. Just going to apply a little bit of the flux. This is V3, by the way, V3 TF by Styri. Let's see how it does. Again, might take us a while to heat up the board. There we go. Okay, not a bad pull. Now I'm going to go straight in with the other one. Whilst we've got the board hot, we don't want to really mess about. It'll make our life easier. I'll apply some more flux in a second. Rotate that heat. A little bit more flux just around the outside. It's not sat straight just yet, but we can change that. I think it's just a little bit off. There we go. I'm happy that the IC is in place. I'm just going to leave my hot air gun on it for a few more seconds. Still 450 degrees, 99% airflow. I'm not going to do any pushing down or anything along those lines. And we're going to check now. Heat's coming off. Quick clean. We'll see how we're getting on. How does this flux clean up? Cleans up pretty nice when the board is hot, which is good. Always a good sign. I'll come in with my toothbrush anyway because these ICs are quite difficult to clean around the edges properly just with a cotton swab. But I mean, that's cleaned up really, really well. Now there might be remnants of it somewhere else. A little bit up here, but that's already stained the copper. That flux done a good job, and it helped with the chip placement as well. Now I'll come in, isopropyl alcohol and just a brush, just so I can see where we're at. Make sure we got those good solder connections. Final touch with a cotton swab. Make sure it's a clean job. Right, how are we looking? How's the alignment? Does it work? Check one side at a time. Check this side. Looking really clean. Again, this side really clean. This side really clean. And finally, this side really, really, really clean. That was done without any additional leaded solder or anything like that. I took the chip from a donut and I placed it on the unleaded solder that was already on the board. As long as you've got good flux, good amount of hot air and airspeed, you can do a really nice looking job. Right, let's put it back in the chassis and see if it works. I have a super interesting statistic for you guys. 2 videos ago, I said that 53% of the people watching weren't subscribed. From that one video, we gained 700 subscribers. Insane. Thank you so much. I've just refreshed the stats to see if that has reduced our percentage of people not subscribed, and apparently it's gone up to 54%. So why not see if we could beat the 700 that we had a couple of videos ago and check back in a week or two to see if this has actually gone down or whether it's just going up for some reason. Sorry for the interruption, and thank you for watching. Like an absolute moron, I didn't test around the IC to make sure our short was gone. That would have been the clever thing to do, Joey. But we're in too deep now. Plug in the HDMI lead, plug in the power. Hopefully it doesn't break it. In 3, 2, 1. There we go. Okay, sweet. Blue light, please stay on, and please go to a white light. Please, please, do your thing. Magic light. Is that white light? Yes, there we go. White light. Wow. I need to make sure it displays as well, obviously. This is the Elgato cam, but I've checked on my normal monitor as well, and it doesn't seem to be displaying. I mean, the console turns on and goes to a white light, and we check the soldering around the chip. That all looks okay. So it's very possible that I have a bad retimer. That is definitely a thing. But yeah, I definitely don't seem to be getting a display on my monitor. Okay, I'm going to have another check of both the port and around the HDMI IC. I guess first, actually, let me try and put it into safe mode and see if that gives us any sort of breakthrough. Okay, safe mode's gone to a white light. Let's see if I get a display. Still no display. Take the board out of the chassis again and see what's going on. Right, back under the scope. Chip, is it on the right way? Yes, it is. How do I know? Because we have the dot here and the arrow here. I have a little bit of a mark here. That's where I grabbed it with a tweezer, so I don't know maybe if that's damaged. I don't think it would. I can't imagine it doing so. Let me put it onto diode mode. Just check our short's definitely going to be gone, isn't it? Yeah, 0.178. I'm just going to check around all these caps and make sure the readings are what they should be. The only thing I'm noticing is that here, I'm meant to get a reading of like 220, but it's like 195. I don't know if that's because the board might still be a little bit warm, you see. 194 here, but on a cold board it's 220, maybe 230, but it's not a massive difference, but it could be all the difference, you know. 194. Do we have the diode and cap on the back? Yes, we do, so that's okay. That checks out. Just seeing if I can see any missing components or anything along those lines. Doesn't look like it, hey. I get 0.6 on the top of this resistor here on a donor, but here I get open line. What do I get here? I get 0.4. On a donor, I get 0.6. Okay, that doesn't seem quite right, does it? What are we getting for this resistor itself? Mega ohms. Yeah, 1 mega ohm. Again, 1 mega ohm. Let me try this way. 8 mega ohms, apparently, this way. So is this resistor blown? What about this resistor? I get 100k. This resistor, 3k. So this one isn't reading, is it? Definitely not reading. What's the exact reading on the resistor here? Let's just check. 22 ohms? Yeah, 22 ohms. This resistor is definitely not reading 22 ohms. That is for sure. So I'm going to get that replaced. It does make me wonder though, is that the only thing that's wrong with the circuit? Just checking some more diode readings whilst I'm here, just to make sure we're all good. 0.4. Well, perhaps this little resistor here has gone boom. Wouldn't surprise me if the power supply has gone bang, and then all of a sudden it's had the repercussions on these other bits. I'm just taking it out of circuit just to triple check. Let's measure it now. Yeah, still open line. So I think this resistor go bye-bye. Get you out of here. Replace with this one. Very hot. Tiny bit of flux. There we go. Right, nothing happened. And I just want to check a few more things before I test. For example, these filters. Do we have a continuous path? I mean, I'm not getting anything through them. Any of them. What? So has it blown all the filters as well? Surely not. All of them. So let me just check. We get continuity here to here? We do? Do we get it here? We don't. Wow. Checking on this donor board that we have. Continuous path. Straight away. Literally straight away. Okay, so let's replace all of those filters then. This repair didn't end up being what I thought it would be. I'm not complaining. This is good. Good content. Good practice. All of the above. A little bit of leaded to help the situation. Lovely. Don't necessarily need all of that flux to go wandering about the board, so I'm just going to soak it up a little bit. There we go. That'll be plenty. Now, how many of these am I going to lose in the process is the question. The answer was none. Lovely. Now a little bit of flux. And watch them float into place, hopefully. There they go. All right, here we go again. Resistance on this resistor. 22 ohms, lovely. Now, just to triply check. Diode mode on the HDMI port. 0.7. Ground. 0.7. 0.7. Ground. 0.7. 0.7. Ground. 0.7. 0.7. Ground. Open line. 0.6. Open line. 0.3. 0.3. Ground. 0.7. 0.3. Now these open line ones, I'm not too sure if they're meant to be open line or not. I can't remember. Where were they? So it was this one. And this one? No, it was this. So this one's open line. That should be a data line. So it should be reading 0.7, I'm sure. Okay, interesting. So this is the one that is next to here. Okay, good job I checked. Donor board. Oh, that one's open line. Oh, these are all open line. Oh, I guess because, they don't have the filters. Amazing. Question is that because of the HDMI IC? Or is that something to do with the actual port itself? The HDMI port looks very, very clean, so I don't think it's that. As in, I've just checked the inside of the port. Let's just check these quick. 0.7, 0.7, 0.7, 0.7, 0.7, 0.7, 0.7, 0.7. Ah, nothing. And you see the little bit of solder in here. Okay. Is that solder? I can't tell if it's solder or not. Let me give it a quick reflow. It doesn't look soldered, does it? I'm not even going to give it a reflow. Let me just use my iron. A bit of fluxy. Ah, wrong one. Iron's quite big here for this job specifically. I need to reflow, I think. I can't get my iron in there. Clear some of the excess. Maybe this one just didn't reflow properly. I should have seen that. Still looks a little bit weird, hey? It's definitely soldered though, right? Diode mode check. There we go. 0.7. Okay, fine. Let's check on the port as well. I think it was, I want to say this data line. Yeah, 0.7. Open line here, but I'm pretty sure this is meant to be open line. 0.6. 0.3. Ground. 0.7. 0.3. I think we're okay. What do we get on this diode? 0.5. This resistor in circuit, mind. 26k. All right, I am now confident enough to test. So I'm going to put it back in the chassis and hopefully we're going to get a display. Okay, here we go. Hopefully it all still turns on because we changed a few bits and bobs there. 3, 2, 1. It does. Wicked. I now need to wait for this to go to a white light and then I can check the display. Switching over, I have to go to HDMI 1 and then it buffers. Come on, it's not going to work. I already know. Okay, let's try again. Sometimes it takes 2 times on this monitor. I don't know why. Here we go. Come on. Nothing. Oh man. And it's still a white light. Interesting. Okay, one more time. For luck. Nothing. Okay. as they say, back to the drawing board. You'll be interested to see if those filters are blown or not. All right, have they blown? What reading do we get at the top of them? 0.7. 0.7. So they're fine. This resistor, is it still 22 ohm? 22 ohm. Okay. What else do we have? I checked this one. It was 100k. This resistor here, 4.6k. Got a test board next to me. Is it 4.6k? Yes, it is. This resistor here and the one above it is 46k. And this one, 6k. Yeah, both of those check out fine. All right. And we checked the diode readings here, didn't we? And that was all right. So I think this part of the circuit is okay. I checked here and that's fine as well. We have some more little bits here. When I say little bits, quite a fair few bits. This little resistor here looks a little burnt out. I'm going to do some more testing and I'll be back with you guys in a second to confirm. Just checking on this diode here, and I'm pretty sure diodes are only meant to measure one way, but this measures over 1 volt in diode mode that way. And then if I swap the leads over, we get 0.8, which I'm pretty sure they're both pretty high. So I'm just going to swap that out for a donor and see if that fixes our issue. Probably not, but it is what it is. There it goes. Perfect. What do we measure now? 0.5 that way and the same 1 volt that way. So I don't think that solved our issue. I've checked around the back. So this is the back of the HDMI IC as well. And I've checked this little resistor here that looks a little bit poorly, but they all seem to check out all right. I'm a little bit lost. The only thing that I'm getting is that on these few pins down here, the reading that I get in diode mode is a little bit lower than what it should be. Instead of like 0.5, I'm getting like 0.3 or 0.4. And that to me is kind of screaming their HDMI IC. And I don't really have anything else to try right now other than just replace this. Maybe the one that I took from the donor wasn't good. I know that the soldering on this is okay, but maybe the issue is the actual IC. So I'm going to swap it out. Check our work. All good that side. All good that side. All good that side. All good that side. Just checking over here in this corner. Yeah, they look soldered, definitely. Not even going to do any diode readings, just going to chuck it in and test, see what happens. As you can see, I get a white light. However, I'm going to save myself the shame. It's still not working in safe mode or normally. So we've managed to clear the short because the console now powers on, but we still have this issue of no image, no display. And chances are, in my head, that both of those HDMI ICs were okay. I just don't know where to really look next. I think I'm going to have to measure on the HDMI IC every single pin to see if there's an issue somewhere else on the board within the HDMI circuit. I'm just going to quickly swap out this little transistor here. I don't get a reading on here. It's open line, whereas on another board, I'm getting like 2 voltage drop in diode mode. Just knocked a component into the next dimension. We can replace, no problem. I just flow them into place. There we go. Lovely jubbly. 1.9 voltage drop. Good. So at least I get something now. I'm just going to check this little IC. I get 0.02 there in diode mode. And I get 0.34 on another board. That's really low. Can't believe I didn't check that. Let's check this resistor. That's 1k. The donor board is 1.5k, but the board might be hot. But this here definitely shouldn't be as low as what it is. 0.08. And I get 0.3. 5 on the donor. It's still pretty low, 0.15. I've left it for a few minutes now. So I'm just going to take this chip off and see what happens. I'm actually just going to add some flux here. And just go ahead and straight swap out the chip. And whilst I'm here, this little resistor, just swap it for the donors. There we go. Okay, do we still get that weird reading, or is it a little bit higher now, is the question. So it was 0.15 before. Is it going to bump up to 0.35? All right, what reading do we get? So we've changed out, this is just IP here, by the way. So I've changed out this little transistor here. So do I still get, yeah, so I get 1.9 voltage drop here. Here, I get 154, but it is climbing. Here, 0.3. Here, 0.3. So is that the same? It is indeed. Because I've changed a few of the components now, I'm just going to chuck it in the chassis and see what happens. And if not, then we go again. Again, save you the despair. It doesn't work. Back to the drawing board. Okay, so here we are, essentially. After a few more checks, what I decided to do was do my standard live stream, which is usually on a Tuesday, Thursday, or Sunday, and see with the help of the amazing Joey Does Tech community whether we can fix this PS5 or not. So the next clips are going to be that stream, and you'll have a result very shortly to see whether it works or whether I just threw it to the side and moved on to the next thing. This one, and this one all seem relatively low. So just to confirm, that's pin, I can't remember which one goes to 19. I think because the arrow here, I think this one actually starts as pin 1. So to confirm, this is pin 19, 18, 17, 16, and 15. So 19, 16, 15 all seem to be relatively low in my opinion. All the data lines seem okay. And I'm pretty sure that these go to the encoder. Got a donor board to check. Yeah, we can check a donor. Here we have 0.7. We have 0.7 here. Here, 0.7. Here, 0.7. Okay, the good thing is, I know where my issue is. My issue is that these are too low. Pin 19 goes through a 22 ohm onto pin 35. Okay, I'll check pin 35 in a second. Pin 35. Thanks, Toltec. So 35 on here should measure 815. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's meant to be this one. Yeah, I get 382. Let me just confirm the other way in case I can't count. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. 0.4. I couldn't count then. I guess, wait there. 40, 39. Yeah, ignore me. 38, 37, 36, 35. Okay, sweet. So it goes to this diode. Ooh, maybe this diode then. So I get 0.4 here, and I meant to get 815. I get 1.3 that way, and this way, I get 0.4. Why am I getting a reading this way? Because usually a diode won't read two ways. So I get 1.3 voltage drop here. I'm going to check the resistor and see what resistance we get. 6.2k. Let me check a donor. 6k. Kind of close to the other one. And then if I check on this diode, I get what? To be fair, I get 1. So I get 1.7 on that diode, one way, and this way, I get 0.6. So let me just confirm something. If I measure here, I get 0.7. So I meant to get 0.7 there. Check 15JL circuit. Readings against donor. All your low readings are connected there. Sorry for my noobness. 15JL circuit. So you're saying the other side. Right, JL is not that one, not that one. Is JL this one? Because I think this is where 5 volts is. Paul, you legend. Thank you. Right, let's just check here. This is the one we're working on. Here I get 0.7. Here I get 0.5. Here I get 0.5. Could be that or the connector Zenas. Is this what you were saying as well, Toltec? You were saying about these Zener diodes here. I get 0.3 there and 0.3 there. On the donor, I get 0.6 and 0.6. I'll tell you what I'm going to do there. I'm going to move them over and I'm going to start with those Zenas. What I am confused about is, can you see how this doesn't have the text on? I'm worried this chip's got really hot. This transistor got really hot. That's what I'm thinking. Is that what's blown the retimer? 450 degrees Celsius, airflow speed of 99%. Yeah, other donors give me different readings on the diodes. Thank you so much for the bits, my friend. Again, appreciate you. 100 bits coming in from Interstellar. Okay, I'm going to measure on the actual pin itself. Yeah, I get 0.6. And I get 0.6. Wow, is it possible that both of these have gone then? And here, I get 0.7. 0.7. 1.2. I'm going to measure it the other way just to make sure. 0.3. Measuring this one the other way. 0.3. One way is 0.3. The other way is 0.7. And here we go. Is this a motherboard? Yes, it is, my friend, of a PlayStation 5. Now we're just going to let the flux and solder do its thing. There we go. Let's measure here. What do we get? So I get 0.7 now, which before it was 0.3. PS5 turns on. Always a good start. We have a white light. Do we have a display? Remember what I said? Sometimes I have to cycle it twice. So we're going to click HDMI 1, even though it's HDMI 2, because my monitor is a bit strange. Nothing on the first try. It's usually the second try. It's not going to work. Oh, it hasn't worked. No dice, guys. There must have been so much wrong with this. Okay, I'm going to turn the console off. Whilst I've got standby in it, I am going to measure and just check what voltages I am getting. So what I'm looking for here, I believe it's 5 volts. Again, could be wrong. So I don't get it in standby. I don't get 5 volts in standby. And that's on the bit that you said next to that 15JL. So what I'm going to do is push the power button. I'm just checking the multimeter here. So we get 0. What do we get? Like 0.001 volt. All right, so this is pin 4. You guys can see the multimeter, right? This is pin 4. I get nothing in standby. Got to power it on. There we go. Look, 5 volts. Oh, so you get 5 volts. Yeah. So I meant to get 5 volts. So it is definitely going to be that. And that was number 4. Attempt for me, 437. The pin you were checking, pin 6. That's the output. It's a voltage. I was looking at pin 4, Toltec. If you're talking about this here, I was looking at pin 4, which is here. That's 6. You're counting it wrong. Am I? Oh, so that isn't pin 4. Sorry. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Gotcha. And what did you say 6 is meant to be? That's the output. It is a voltage switch. Gotcha. So that's the voltage out. Sweet. Thank you for confirming. Thank you guys. Thank you. I know I'm a moron. Doesn't matter how many attempts we're here for the journey. Exactly that. Appreciate that. Every day is a school day. Exactly that, Danny. Exactly that. So again, we use the flux here. If you're interested in purchasing some, guys, I do have an affiliate link down below. You get 10% off if you use code JDT. If you use code JDT. They've just sorted shipping out for the UK as well, so it should be a little bit better. But yeah, this stuff is really good. Now, the important bit here is, do we get a display? Okay, we have a white light on the console. Wicked. Do we have a display on the screen? I'm super nervous. Okay, first time it hasn't worked. Techno, the timing has come in with 5 gifted. Techno, thank you so much. I appreciate the 5 gifted. The second attempt, is it going to work? HDMI 1. Just go. Come on. Chat, we did it. We did it. I'm not joking. Select it on OBS so you guys can see that we have a working display PlayStation 5. Guys, claps for every single one of you in the chat who helped me with this. Big shout out to Paul. Great success. Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you guys so much. Seriously. Now we head on over to Sally's spectacular spreadsheet to see how much profit we've made in today's video. Total cost is £410. We had a HDMI port for the Series X. That seems like such a long time ago now. That's £1. I'm going to be reasonable and I'm going to say that I think I'm going to get £280 for both of the consoles. So that gives us a sell price of £560, meaning our total gross profit for today's video is £98.60. Add that to the list, £98.60, as well as to mention that everything for the PlayStation 5 was from a donor, from the power supply to all those little chips and ICs. Gives us a total overall profit of £178.13. What an incredibly wild ride. If you take labor out of account, so how many hours I spent on that PS5, it's probably, when I say probably, it's not going to be worth it, but we also don't include labor in the spreadsheet. A win is a win and our risk paid off eventually. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate if you actually got to this point. If you did, comment down below saying apple crumble. I'll leave last week's episode up here so you can watch that. Subscribe to the channel. If you're new around here, hit the thumbs up button. Have a fantastic day and I will see you in the next one. Peace.